Thank you, Dr. Yaglis. Mr. Demetris Constantinou will now speak about looking into the trends in consumer choice for cashless payments. He is the co-founder and director of Philoshopic, a cloud commerce technologies company developing digital wallet solutions for customers internationally. Demetris carries 15 plus years of professional experience in the retail industry, focusing on store automation and modern channels for transactions and payments. He had previously served in senior positions at NCR Corporation at EMEA level and at Velti in Greece. He holds a degree in manufacturing systems engineering from the University of Warwick and a master's in science in management science from Warwick Business School. I would like to call on Mr. Demetris Constantinou.
So, I think we had multiple views, and it has been really amazing to hear how the banking side, the academia, or consultants are viewing cashless payments for the future. I think it's time now to look a little bit differently from a retailer's perspective and from the consumer's perspective. Because everyone, I think, in this room may have a different occupation, but deep down we're all consumers, right? We are the people who go and use money to buy things. So, I gave a promise to Leonidas, and we had a challenge that I will make this in less than 20 minutes. So I know for a fact that about 73.6% in this room don't know much about Philoshopic, but you can either Google us. We come up first if you spell it properly. 9 out of 10 people in Cyprus first think we are philosophic. No, we're not philosophers. Or we can meet after at the cocktail. So we are in an academic environment. So I think we should put down a methodology of how we're going to look at things. So our journey to explore the cashless payment trends is going to look into 4 different areas. And in each of these areas, we're going to make a stop and look at one data point and try to think why things are happening, mainly from a consumer perspective. All right? So let's go. The first area that we're going to look at is what are the current ways we transact today cashless. And don't think about the most common ones. Let's think of some not so common ones. I'm going to break this until we finish. So we can go and park our car downtown Nicosia and pay by SMS, right? We can do this today. We can go to shop at a store and use a gift card. Some retailers call it a gift certificate or a gift voucher, but we can buy things using a gift card. All of us are crazy with smartphones these days. So within an application, we can have the application's currency and do in-app purchases. So maybe we're playing a game and we cannot progress, and we buy the next level, or we buy some hints to move to the next level. Or when we're shopping online, we might do that using what they call a money voucher, like PaySafe. And this will be our first data point to look into this kind of new thing for many of us, which actually in Cyprus is the #1 digital product sold in convenience stores and supermarkets today. It used to be a So Easy voucher. You know, when you top up your phone and you buy this number, now you buy a number to transact to the internet. So essentially you pay for that, you get that number, and you go online and you do a transaction. Why would people do that? Well, some of them, they might not want to share their credit or debit card details. They are afraid that this might be used by someone else, right? Some may not even have a credit card. There are a lot of people that are unbanked, especially, you know, foreign workers, low-income people. They may not have even a bank account, and they don't have a credit or debit card. Or even if you have one, you may not have enough balance in it. So you find a different way to do it. However, the most popular reason for people to use these money vouchers is anonymity. They don't want the activity they will do on the internet to appear on their statement. They might be doing gambling, or they might be visiting adult sites and buying some services from the internet. They don't want this to be visible on any statement. So we see that there is a reason for people to require this kind of different type of cashless payment. And PaySafe created a platform to do that. All these examples that we have shared, they have one thing in common. None of them involves a bank. When you pay by SMS, when you pay by a gift card, nothing happens through a bank, right? So this brings us to the next topic of who are the providers of these new kinds of cashless payments, right? So they say that a picture equals 1,000 words. I will rephrase it a little bit and say that sometimes a tweet can be 1,000 words. So I came across this tweet a few days ago, which is essentially saying that future retailers will be digital platforms. It's no longer important for the retailer just to have a nice store or even an e-shop. They should, in a digital economy, have their platforms in place to be able to serve the consumers, not just getting in, buying the goods and going home. And payment is an essential pillar of these platforms. And it's already happening today. We have examples coming from the US from some of the leading retailers. If we look at Walmart Pay, it's the platform of Walmart, the biggest retailer in the US and globally. It had 20 million active users back in July. If we look at their satisfaction numbers, we see that users are actually really happy using that. Probably that number is much bigger today, okay? And this is only a few months before. Starbucks Wallet is even more impressive. 40% of the transaction to buy coffee happen with Starbucks Wallet, their own platform, their own application. And more impressively, $1.5 billion were loaded into consumers' accounts in the digital wallet and not used when they closed their last financial year. So imagine people are giving money to Starbucks, and they go at some point later to get the coffee, right? So next time we see a president with a gun in his head, it may not be just the haircut the solution. Maybe a digital wallet can help to solve cash flow issues. And we see what kind of impact this might have on the cash flow of the business. You keep hold of your customers' money, and you are definite that they will come at some point to transact with you. And you might say at this point, okay, this is happening in some huge retailers in the US. We are in a different environment, especially here. We're in a small country. Retailers are not that small. Let's look at our next data point. This is one of the biggest successes in the area of mobile payments. Now, for those of you that know about M-Pesa, please don't shout. You might whisper it to the person next to you to show off that you know, but I'll give you 2 hints to find out where this is coming from. Okay? This is the first one, and I apologize to those that they speak English. It wouldn't be funny if it did not involve Cypriots, all right? And the second one is that M stands for mobile, and Pesa stands for money in Swahili. Yes, I think you got it so far. This happened in Africa. 10 years ago, Safaricom, the mobile operator in Kenya, started this platform, and today it has more than 21 active registered users. And the most impressive number is that every year, money transferred from a person to a business or from a business to a person, or even between 2 people using M-Pesa, equals 60% of the country's GDP. So it's not small. It doesn't happen in a very dynamic economy in the US or even in China or India, these huge economies. It happens in Africa. So it's not a matter of being advanced as an economy. It's all about the need of the consumer. It was not that easy to find a bank in the middle of the jungle, right? It was more easy to have network coverage and make your payment by mobile phone. So today there are 1,000 banks in Kenya, and there are 55,000 agents of M-Pesa. These are authorized people that you can go and load your account or redeem from your account. So we see how important it is sometimes, technology, and how it enables transactions. Now, this is happening through a mobile phone. If we look into our next area, let's look at what kind of devices we use for cashless payments. You see here a plethora of different ways that people can do cashless payments. Yes, the mobile phone is the most, let's say, common. Everybody has one in their hands. Most people even have it as a smartphone, so they can run applications. By the way, M-Pesa A little bit different than the Bank of Cyprus successful application here in Cyprus, it works by SMS. You don't even need to have an application installed. It's so easy and so well used. So we see a plethora of devices, some of them even wearable. They become trendy, like payment bracelets or wristbands, watches, smart watches, or some simple things like stickers you put at the back of your phone and you execute transactions. Companies are investing also to create the wow factor with some even more innovative solutions. Ray-Ban recently, along with Visa, they had the payment sunglasses. Recently, there was the first payment ring or a payment jacket. And we all know that these things are trendy and they create some wow factor. But yes, if we make a survey, I don't think anybody in this room is wearing a payment ring, right? And I hope that our jackets are not, paying wherever we go at the moment. But companies are trying to capture new audience. And our next data point is around who are the people who get excited by those things. And these are the most important people today. Forrester Group came up with a global survey, and they came up that millennials, which is essentially people that are today around 20 to 30 years old, they prefer experiences over things. So if you give them a payment way that gives them an improved shopping experience, they might be more keen to go through that path, irrespective of what they're actually buying, right? So for them, it's more important to have experiences. And one report I came across recently from SlimPay, it points out that the more digital enabled is a consumer, the more demanding they are. So today, the consumers that are more dynamic, that they have more future ahead of them, and potentially they will have more buying power soon, these are the people that they're more demanding, and they require new ways. They cannot do it just with the old traditional way. However, we know that technologies, and I think we've heard from a couple of my fellow speakers here, presentations earlier, not all technologies, stay around forever. Some they are experimental, some they come and go. So let's look into how technologies can actually mature and become mainstream. To do so, we will use the Gardner Model, okay? This is essentially a tool that Gardner, one of the biggest analyst groups globally, came up years ago. They have this hype cycle, as they call it. And they say that every new technology that surfaces into the market, at the early stages, it has an exponential growth in the visibility. It makes news. People talk about it. And it reaches a peak. At some point, there is a huge expectation, but sometimes inflated. The peak of inflated expectations. People talk a lot about it, but not many people actually use it. As time goes by, this is degrading, and at some point it reaches like a low level, but then it picks up again and it reaches what they call a plateau productivity. That's the time that a new technology becomes actually mainstream. A good example is the mobile phones. When they first came up, I remember at least in Cyprus, some taxi drivers used to pride themselves for having this big box in their car and they could talk while they are in the car. It was just something that people were talking about. Today, we don't leave a room if we don't have our mobile phone with us. It's an essential part of our everyday life. So today, it's mainstream. At some point, it was just news. So we're going to look into this model for the retail technology. And if we spot some of the technologies around cashless payments, digital wallet in retail, or digital coupons, mobile payments, we can see that they are in different stages today. Digital wallets are nearing the peak of visibility in the market. We've seen that some big retailers, they have some really successful examples of digital wallets. Digital coupons have been around for more time, or mobile payments, and we see that they progress a little bit in time. They're not so fancy today to talk about. We have heard about them a lot, but they are very near to reach the plateau of productivity and become mainstream. And we expect that in a couple of years, some of these will become standard. You will not go to a retailer that does not allow you to pay by a mobile phone, right? Today, not everybody does that. To validate a bit this model, let's go a little bit behind and look at the previous version of Gartner's hype cycle for retail. And we can see that the same three technologies have been a bit further back into their maturity. If we look at it from a different angle now, and we look at it from a banking perspective, we see that, and we take digital wallets as an example, we see that they progress a little bit more, right? They are not now such a hot topic in banking. Maybe there are other technologies that they are more of a hot topic in banking, but they're more close to reach being mainstream. My personal opinion is this is happening because banks have been the sole and exclusive platforms for cashless payments for years. So probably they started this a bit earlier than retailers. If I make a prediction myself, I know banks are moving much slower than retailers. Maybe it might become more mainstream in retailers than it becomes in bankers. And if we see today the top 5 digital wallets globally, none of them belongs to a bank. Banks are much lower in the popularity of their own digital wallets. So we see that technologies are coming up to the market. Some of them mature, some of them disappear. Not all of them will go through all the stages of this cycle. Some of them, they might disappear at some point. Some of them will become mainstream. What takes technologies from being something that we talk about to something that we use is actually 2 things. And this is our next data point. It's all about retailers adopting them and accepting payments through these platforms, and consumers actually using them, right? And since we are in an academic environment here, we're going to make the epitome of a scientific study. So we're going to take one assumption, that if you make a study in a small area, if this is the center of the universe, it will spill over around the rest of the space, right? So we found out the center of the world. This is Cyprus, of course, okay? When my son, who is 4 years old, he challenged me, I said, get a globe, put your finger in Cyprus, and measure all the distances. They're all the same. So Cyprus is the center of the world. So, okay, that was a joke. We believe so, most people outside don't. So we did a study in Cyprus, and we surveyed both consumers and retailers. The study was done by the University of Cyprus MBA program along with Philosophic on a joint project we did. And I'm going to show you some of the outcome of the retailer's view. Okay, so we interviewed actually all the big retailers in Cyprus and a good sample of the smaller ones. And we asked them, you know, Mr. Retailer, how likely are you to use a digital wallet solution? Okay, more than half of them were positive, that at some point they will do so. And the reasoning behind that, if we look at it, everybody had different views, okay? Most of them, they thought that, you know, it will speed up the process in checkout, right? A payment by, you know, a beep is much faster than giving money, getting change, or doing credit card, getting authorizations, blah, blah, blah. Lowering the risk for cashier fraud. It's more difficult for a cashier to do fraud when you transact this way. More environmentally friendly, less human errors, a big impact on cash management, not needing to have all these coins and banknotes and counting them and so on. But for me, the most important is that they believe that this kind of service will bring more customers. And these are the customers that they actually are more technologically savvy, and most likely the millennials, right? So we see that there are a lot of different reasons for people to adopt these technologies, and this builds a solid foundation that we believe that these technologies will be in our hands in the very near future. They're not things that come out of the very far future. And as we've seen in the US and in other countries, it's already happening. So we saw that technology adaptation is essential for new ways of cashless payments to surface and stay in the market, mature and become mainstream. These are, of course, driven by customer needs. And we see that the shopping experience, especially in the millennials demographic, is very important. The wow factor, a lot of people, they opt in for new things. Yes, these new things might disappear in the near future. There will be a new thing and a new thing again and again. So these need to be embraced by the retailers and the consumers, and they are embraced. So platforms need to be in place to enable them. So today is not just the banking world when we talk about cashless payment. Telcos, retailers, bankers, they all have their own platforms. And every retailer might have their own platform in place. And of course, everything is driven by the consumer needs. The need for anonymity created this huge platform called PaySafe, which globally is a multi-billion organization. The need to transact in a country that has people all around the place, but not easy to have a bank next to each of them, it created M-Pesa, which today is the #1 trading platform in Kenya. So, as this was titled a debate, I will be a little bit here, I'll get into the mood of the debate and say if I was a banker, I would really worry. It's not anymore my space, right? Bankers have been in their comfort zone for years. You had to pay by their own systems. Today, this is no longer valid. There are a plethora of choices around. If I was a retailer or a telco, I would seize the opportunity, right? There is space for me to do this within my own platform and not rely on someone else's platform. So the space is changing, the market is changing, and we are not going to see in the future the choices we had in the past. And I think this was very obvious from all the speakers today. Once upon a time, it was cash or credit card. I think these should go into a museum, right? If we want to predict the future, I think one of the best ways to do that is to look a little bit behind and see what happens today and say that if we were in the past, today was going to be the future, right? And one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future. If you have seen this is actually what we have to think to predict the future. So, in conclusion, I'm going to finish with 1,000 words, okay? No, I think you're all tired. Okay, I'll do it with a picture. So this is an actual picture from the last step of a transaction in Tesco's in the UK. This is a self-checkout screen. This is the terminal that you go, you scan, you bag, and you pay for your items yourself, okay? At the last stage, they ask you in which method you want to pay. So you can pay by cash, by credit or debit card, yes, the legacy to things of the past. You can pay by a coupon, and that coupon may be of a third-party platform, or it could be an in-house developed coupon. You can pay by their own Tesco gift card. You can redeem points from the Tesco Club Card, which is their loyalty program. You can use a contactless device, or you can use PayQuick, which is their own digital wallet solution. So it's happening already. And if you're asking me how it's going to be in the future, I cannot tell you. I can only go back and come until today and tell you what's happening today. But I can only tell you one thing that I predict, that for us as consumers, it's going to be a very exciting journey. Thank you very much.